Conspiracy Adam believes the NBA has it in. The fix is in. Same as that happened in the Denver series.
Oh, for the Thunder?
I'm just saying. All right, hey, button up, everybody.
All right,
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the DNVR Nuggets Podcast.
Let's go!
Live from the Toyota Lounge, driven by your Front Range Toyota stores. Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR. Great show for you lined up on this hump day. Because
never forget,
there's more non-news today.
I love this offseason, man.
Every day that goes by without news feels like news.
We're learning a lot about each other during this offseason. Just wading into topics that I didn't think we would wade into.
Also, so I have some conspiracy theories about what's going on. That's all it is. Conspiracy. Get conspiracy corner ready, Kale. Also, man, it sure seems like trade season's coming early this year.
It seems like
because there are so many rumors coming out over the last 48 hours. By the way, we're only ahead of Game 3 of the NBA Finals.
I'm not going to lie, I forgot the finals were going on.
You do forget. You forget every single time there's a game. You forget that they're on. But if you just read all these reports, it feels like there's a lot of teams that are either blowing it up or making big trades. And so this might actually be an abnormally high trade offseason. And the Nuggets are still waiting on a GM.
This is the time of year where you want your GM working the phones, like really reaching out to contacts.
Maybe he is, or she. We don't know. We'll find out soon. The panel today is Brendan Vogt.
Really thought we would be in the studio today. Shout out Toyota, of course. So I wore my flip-flops. Although I didn't need to bring that up because I don't think it's in the shot.
It's not
necessary.
Yeah, got myself again.
Yeah, you just told on yourself like you always do.
Dogs are out if you're wondering.
And then over here, Harrison Wind.
I drove to the office today. Yesterday, if you tuned into the show, I drove in my non-AC car. So that was tough.
That is a tough one.
I had the good car today, though. So
I drove a Toyota Tercel one time with not only did it have no AC, it overheated. I drove it all the way to Dallas, Texas, and we had to have the heater on the whole time.
Of course.
That would suck.
Of course. With Toyota, you can trust that your AC's on.
This was like 1993 or something like that.
That was the old Toyota.
And also, this was like a 1960s Tercel. This was an old one.
Just shouting out the brand.
But it was a very hot. That was in August. Ooh, most I've ever sweat in my life.
Are you going to mention your eye?
Well, Kale told me to give him 3 minutes to prep, so I had to wait.
The chat's already talking about it.
The chat's already talking. Our top story tonight. I got all messed up. You guys see this close up, Kale? Look at this. Look at this.
Wow.
It looks like you're wearing eyeshadow kind of on the picture. It looks way worse sitting next to you, though.
So I caught an elbow in a basketball game yesterday. A gnarly elbow. We have some photos, Kale. You want to pull this up? This is the injury. Oh, you got the cleanup of the injury. That's reverse order. There you go. So you see, it's a cut. It was an elbow to a guy's eye. I'm telling you, this was a horrible basketball game. Like really, really, really low level. Everybody's over 40. And somehow I got caught with an elbow to the eye, cracked it right open, was gushing blood. It was such a drag. Then, luckily, one of my teammates, a doctor.
This was great. Just to take you guys behind the curtain, our colleague Dev thought Adam had a live-in doctor.
Private doctor.
On-call private doctor.
He just stays in the basement. I'm like, I'm ready.
He's like, you have a doctor in your house?
No, so he stitched me up nice and good. Go to the bloody one. That one's kind of a good one. Look at that. Oh.
That's gross, man.
Yeah, it was pretty gnarly really there for a hot second. And then, there it is. Finishing up. Look how great it is.
Nice.
The two smiles.
Did you guys talk about the GM search at all?
We did not. No, unfortunately. There's nothing worse, man. I'm 41, played basketball my entire life, as you guys all know, and it's chasing the dragon. After like 35, basketball is chasing the dragon because I love it. It brings me so much joy, but more than half of the time, it's terrible. So every time you get, first of all, it's hard as hell to get a group of 40-year-olds or even like 30 and 40-year-olds together just to play, and then half the time you're there, it's just like not good it's not the right whatever. It's chasing the dragon because maybe 1 out of every 10 times you're like, that was some good hoops.
Yeah.
Everybody was doing this or that. I played well, whatever, felt good, nothing hurt. 9 out of 10 times something dumb happens.
Were you playing against Lou Dort?
I mean, kind of. You know what it was, man? I'm telling you, the basketball was so low level that the guys take it more seriously. It's like, we're all 40.
Yeah.
Nobody's impressive out there. And then some guys mistakenly think that they're like extra tough or something. And so it's just like what George Karl used to call elbow and asshole basketball.
Right, yeah. That's what everyone's looking for in their 40-year-old pickup.
But when somebody like something like this happens, everybody like the intensity level is so stupidly high. Even in the moment, I'm sitting here, I'm like, guys, please everybody shut up and just play basketball. Like, it's getting like intense and you're like,
dude,
God, it's so dumb.
I'm sorry, man. It's an incredible shade of
I know.
Pink or purple?
It's kind of all colors right now. I mean, it's like droops now below the eye.
It's hard to look at, man.
So anyway, that's what happens. Basketball, I love it.
Did you score on the play?
Did you at least
get to the line?
I don't even think there was a foul call, to be honest. Like, they stopped the game immediately because like it was squirting blood.
Yeah.
And so there was it's just regular little officials or whatever. But yeah, so I grabbed the board, and this guy was
regular little officials.
You knew this guy was like 5 foot
As
tall.
Opposed to what? Big officials?
Yeah, because there was some little guy too that's trying. Like I grabbed the rebound. I had the rebound,
and the big man gets an unfair whistle.
He kind of tries. He's
Here
like,
it comes.
Oh,
dude.
And it's like, brother, man. And
That's
so they,
so funny.
Yeah, it was a little official, man. I ain't even lying. What's the worst injury you've ever gotten in sports?
I had my nose broken in like 3 places, and I was, wait for it, playing
Frisbee.
Ultimate Frisbee. That was a hard one to explain, actually, at the ER.
There's a lot of running, though, into each other.
Sure.
Yeah.
Just the sport hadn't really caught on yet, mainstream.
It still hasn't.
Yeah,
brother.
I know. So I went to the ER.
It's not like it was today,
Trust me, dude, though, it was worse. And they didn't believe, because it was so jacked up, man. Like I was like whistling. It was up in my eye. I was like trying to stay on my feet. And they brought a counselor in because my coach was with me, and they're like, "Did this guy hit you?" I'm like, "No. Frisbee's a real thing. I'm wearing a jersey. There's mud on it.
Like this is definitely a cover up for like domestic violence."
Yeah, there's a tournament a half mile down the road. They didn't believe me because that's how hard I got my nose busted open.
What about you?
I broke my wrist in my first high school basketball game ever.
Ouch! In high school, no less.
Yeah, third quarter.
What happened? Fall?
I was going up for a dunk, and was at the rim. I'm just kidding. I was going up for a layup.
That got me
way below the rim. And this dude just kind of like undercut me, and I fell right on my wrist. Like,
wow.
Oh, that's brutal, man.
It was rough.
So my worst one
Killed my whole career.
Well, my worst one was my knee injury, which I mean that was at the 33. So like my life was always pre that and after it. But my biggest one came in 7th grade. We were 6th or 7th grade. We were doing the thing. I think all kids did this at some point where you jump off your buddy's back to dunk.
Yeah.
So we're doing that, and I mean we probably did it 100 times.
My buddies weren't tall
and
enough.
on one, like you're just getting more and more daring. And I just did like a power dunk and swung my legs up and then slipped.
And then you fall on
and
your
fell
back.
back on my arms like that, broke both of them.
Both arms at the same time?
Both arms at the same time. This one snapped in half. It was like a 90-degree angle.
Dog.
This one was just a little wrist break.
Did you have 2 casts at the same time?
I did for like a week.
Oh, man.
This one I had to do like a wrist cast, for like,
Sure.
I don't know, a month or something. But this one was like freaking 3 months I was in a cast on this one. It was all jacked up. So, kids,
now that we got that
be
out of
careful.
the way.
Be
Yeah.
careful there. You have to look at this ugly eye for a couple days.
It's tough. Tough to look at.
Our other top story, I just want to shout it out. Brian Wilson died. One of the great songwriters of all time. You guys know Brian Wilson?
Say the group, Harrison.
I know it's the
Kale,
Beach Boys
I know Kale
now,
knows. There you go. All
but
right.
I'm not going to lie. I had to look it up.
Beach Boys, man. I'm telling you, they're like
I know the
Beatles.
Beach
They're
Boys.
so,
I
they're
didn't
such,
know the name Brian Wilson.
people
though.
think of them as like, surf rock, this or that, but
Beach
just had to
Boys are
get him in
great.
there. Other top stories, we moved to basketball now, actual basketball. Jason Kidd being recruited, you might even say groomed, by the New York Knicks right now. They're trying to get him. And the Mavs have come out and said, we won't allow them to talk.
Denied.
The side door is locked. And it does make us think like the Nuggets could have done that with Tim Conley back in the day, because it was a thing where he was under contract. They allowed it to happen. And I do just kind of, first of all, everybody, and I don't know how these things work. I'm trust the reporting of Mark Stein, Shams Charania, but it does seem like this is part of the posturing. It's just to tell them no. He's under contract. It's like if somebody said, we want to talk to Jokic. You'd be like, no.
But here's the thing, though. If, like, Jason Kidd wants to coach in New York and doesn't want to coach the Mavs anymore, like, why would you jump through the hoops to keep him in Dallas if he just doesn't want that job anymore?
Because he's under contract. What's he going to do, throw the season? No.
I mean, I don't know.
Well, first of all, at an organization like Dallas, I think we can trust everyone to keep a level head and operate only rationally and in the best interest of the fans.
But isn't this part of it actually though? Because do the math on this. It is kind of being drug out. Is Dallas not a sinking ship, but maybe it's not as it seems. And Jason Kidd's out there going like, hell yeah, I'll get out of here.
Possibly, man. I don't, obviously I don't know anything more than the next fellow about what happened in Dallas. But it would, listen, if I were Jason Kidd and I didn't have anything to do with that and I had to sit up there and hold Nico's hand in those press conferences and come back and coach this team, I might not be thrilled about it. At the same time, it's a gig. He was in the finals not that long ago. When you have a head coaching gig, I think that's a great job. And I think people are just going to show up and put their best foot forward more often than not.
Does them denying permission end it entirely, or could they still like trade for him?
I think this is a tactic of like, hey, yeah, I think this all becomes a bit of negotiation.
Yeah, like
we get
formally we're saying no, but would you offer up a first round pick?
We're going to talk about Dallas here in a second, but they make the big trade. It was to win now, and then you have the injury to Kyrie. And then you get Cooper Flagg, and even when they got Cooper, the number 1 pick, it was like, hey, but they're still going to try to win. And there's just some rumblings we'll talk about later that maybe Dallas is not. Time has made that plan go to the wayside, and maybe Dallas is looking at this like, do we need Jason Kidd? We might be in reset mode.
Yeah, like did they just get an updated timetable on Kyrie Irving's injury?
Exactly. Like Kyrie's like, I'm going to be back in 6 months. They're like, nobody's ever done that before, but okay, if that's what you say.
Since making the trade with the stated rationale, Kyrie got hurt, AD got hurt, and they got the number 1 overall pick.
So much has happened.
So
none of it real.
So you could change course, right? It wouldn't be as jarring as it would be. Whatever they do next won't be nearly as jarring as what they've already done. So
yeah,
they just need to fire everybody already.
But I do find it interesting that the side door was closed, and
but is the main door still open?
I mean, they might just unlock the side door or find a window to jump out of. Last thing I got for you guys in segment 1 as we hit news and notes. Viewership dropped in Game 2.
Really?
Of the NBA Finals. And this was one of the things we talked about. Game 1 had the lowest ratings we've had for 10 years, but it was an awesome game. So it was like, well, maybe people will tune in because of how incredible that game was. Game 2 kind of sucked, but fewer people tuned in. It actually, more people watched Game 1 and said, no, thank you. I don't want more of this than people that heard about Game 1 and tuned in.
I wasn't joking when I said I forgot the finals were going on, man.
If you can't be lured into this, like who can, man?
2 days off.
I mean, I like it, but
like a full 2 days off, I get it. They want to space it out. They want it to be the best on-court product. They want to like eliminate injuries as much as possible, but it kills all the momentum between games. I feel like that's how it's felt for me, and it's weird because there's absolutely nothing else going on right now.
Right
in sports, even in the NBA, it's kind of quiet. So you would think the finals would be more top of mind, but it's just not.
And part of this is it's just 2 small markets. I mean, as much as we hate it, the NBA has not done a good job of preparing for these moments. So now you're here. But part of it is, I mean, there's just something about this final. There's no buzz around it. Yeah. The game's tonight.
Well, part of it too, and I think we just saw it in the chat, right? Is there was a lot of time off too. So it just felt like it was sitting there for a little bit. Game 1 was actually, I thought, electric. I really enjoyed it. Game 2 was just what the Thunder do sometimes, not that fun to watch. I think if we're going to sit here, though, and say that the league needs to... Like, I think there's a bite the bullet phase of sort of getting there with, hey, it's going to be OKC and Indiana sometimes. Like, I think people are going to be less interested in that. I do think it's the league's job to sell it and all of that. But with time, I think maybe people's attitude will change towards the league as we see fewer and fewer of the usual suspects and more of the kind of teams that have historically been cast to the wayside. Not the Thunder have had success, but you get my point market-wise. So I don't know. I don't really care about the ratings. I know you do. They signed a really, really, really big media rights deal. I think the league will be okay. I like the parity as much as the CBA has bothered Denver. I can just sort of live with the less glamour in the meantime.
Yeah, to me, ratings are supremely important. I know not everybody cares about them or finds them that interesting, but to me, it's the overall health of the sport and the league. And that's why I find them so interesting. And we see this trajectory down. So to me, it's a very real signal of fewer people are watching the product. Whether the money is there in other means or other aspects, it's like fewer people are consuming it in its organic form. And to me, it's fascinating as somebody who truly feel this way, a steward of the game.
Sure.
Like, I feel like I'm part of why I'm in this is I love the game so much and I want people to be able to experience it in all of the different ways I do. And fewer people are experiencing it than they were 10 years ago. So to me, I find it inherently interesting. Plus, you guys know, I like to build things. You know, like a lot of people never access that part of their mind. And it's fine. Not everybody has to. But when you build something, you think about what makes it successful, what makes it work, or this or that. The NBA, I feel the same way. I think about it in those same ways. And it's kind of a weird signal that it would drop after that awesome game one.
Yeah. And there's been a lot of conversation about, the NBA Finals trophy isn't on the court. Like, this doesn't feel like a big event. This kind of just feels like a regular season game. I think that's something that goes into it not being as top of mind for me. And like I said, there's been a lot of discussion around this, but the branding, like them almost trying to make it the court look like a regular court doesn't seem like and feel like the NBA Finals. Like, I feel like that goes into the conversation of just like it not being as big of a deal for everybody. And we always talk about how, there's all these little micro decisions that lead up to something. And I really feel like, and again, you guys always hate on me for like me missing coaches in suits.
You know what, though? I'm coming around. This is my oldest old man take.
The games overall do not feel as
evolution.
important as they did years ago because of decisions like that.
Yeah, you might be right on this. It's weird that it is a little kernel.
The
that
NBA
might be
regular
addictive.
season doesn't mean anything. Like
chewing gum on the sideline. Stand up straight, Coach Dagnott. We got to take a break.
I
We're overdue. We're gonna. Kale's yelling at me.
Decisions, no logo on the court. Like it all makes it. It all feels like it doesn't mean as much as it used to.
It's so true, man. It's so true. Meanwhile, D-Line is screaming at his TV while me and Vogt are in shorts on camera today. So we have no leg to stand on.
Wait till you see the flip-flops,
D-Line. Oh, the flip-flops. All right, we'll take a break. On the other side, day 7 of talking about what's going on in the front office. Conspiracy Corner around the corner.
Should just start making stuff up till they tell us the truth.
Breaking news from Bet365. New promo dropping.
Whoa.
Exclusively for the finals. That offers customers the chance to win a jackpot of up to $100,000 in bonus bets with the first play fortune. So, brand new promo from Bet365 right now. To enter for a chance to win a share of the $100,000 jackpot in bonus bets, you must place a bet, a 3-leg same-game parlay where the 3 legs are a player to score the first basket, player to get the first assist, and the first rebound. Only bets consisting of those exact 3 legs will be eligible. Log in to place your bet, sign up, use the code DNVR365, deposit $10, place your 3-leg same-game parlay for a $1 minimum. That's all it has to be, $1 minimum. At Bet365, must be 21 plus, physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. In-app only, opt-in required. 3 legs, same game parlay. Player to score the first basket, player to get the first assist and the first rebound. Do that, you could win a share of $100,000.
That's a lot of money, dude. That's a lot of money. One great thing about being here in the lounge is this spectacular floor that was selected with the help of the experts at Empire today, and then a separate team of professional installers came over here, put it in our studio. Looks great. To this day, we are heathens here, and yet not a ton of scratches as far as I can see. It looks great despite all of our dragging and mess making. Empire today is your best bet for a new floor. They live and breathe flooring. They'll be with you every step of the way. It's a whole different ball game with Empire today. It's not as overwhelming, big, expansive. There are no metaphorical or literal aisles for you to get lost in as you search to pick the right flooring and the right colors for your space. With Empire, you can see how it looks with your furniture in your house and do it all in a less overwhelming way. Get precise measurements taken, have all of your questions answered so there are no surprises. Schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. DNVR listeners can receive a $350 discount when using promo code DNVR. You heard that right, $350 discount with with code DNVR. Restrictions apply. Visit EmpireToday.com/DNVR for full details.
Alrighty, back here, segment 2. Kale, it's time for Conspiracy Corner.
Oh, let's go.
What is going on? This is day 12 now, day 20. I don't know what it is of talking about where are the Nuggets going with this front office search. And the longer things are held in the dark, the more conspiracy theories kind of come into focus. I have broken it down into 4 different things that could be happening.
Okay.
Some of them very unlikely, but possible. I'm going to go in order of most likely.
Okay.
It's Ben Tenzer. They just don't want to say it.
Ben Tenzer.
Ben Tenzer. They have the decision. They have to have some sort of facade of doing a search. Maybe even
a facade that's not even like.
There's no names being leaked.
There's not really much of a facade.
There's no names being leaked. There's there's none of this. I mean, they want to keep things tight. Maybe I don't know. But it's just Ben Tenzer, and they're like, we got to give a little bit of time and space here to line things up.
Sure.
Feels to me like the most likeliest outcome.
Okay. Yeah. That was the first one I thought, especially in that first week, I thought maybe a week-long delay. It's been more than a week. At some point, I got in there and started to convince myself, in other words, buying what they'd be selling there, that the elongated process meant maybe there was indeed a process. However, the utter lack of news and updates and leaks whatsoever has...
I get like a short list, considering these guys.
We've already give us someone else to talk about besides Matt Lloyd. So yeah, I'm with you, man. I think it was the most likely one. It seems weird to me to use all of this time not to announce it, if that's the move you're going with. But perhaps that's what we're looking at. So
I think this also does make sense. But Harrison, here's something I was thinking about: the revolving shark's teeth philosophy of the Kroenkes. You lose a good GM, but there's somebody waiting in the wings that have been groomed to be this person.
Yeah.
Who was the assistant general manager under Tim Conley?
That would be Arturas Karnisovas.
Well, and then after that,
that would be
Calvin Booth. And then he got promoted.
Correct.
Who was the assistant under Calvin Booth?
That would be Tommy Bracelets.
So why, if this revolving shark teeth, are we skipping a line of teeth here? Because I can make sense of the idea that Calvin Booth was being groomed to be a GM eventually, right? Like he was the assistant. He was in that role. Ben Tenzer was not.
Right.
But all of a sudden, so I don't know. I've never even heard or considered that the Nuggets were like, he was being groomed to be the next guy. Like, I don't think that's the case at all.
If they had like the utmost confidence in putting him as the next guy, they would have already done it.
Yeah. I mean, it does. You're right. That's one of the signals here is, are we confident if that's the decision?
If they loved that option, they would have done it already.
Yeah.
That's the only way you can take this.
Or they're trying to galaxy brain how the people will feel about it, but you know how it is. I guess it's not working that way.
Yeah,
I mean, that'd be bad PR. He
still has an interim title on him.
So, but more importantly, it's just this idea of like, the assistant coach is the next guy up. Oh, coach is out or gets fired. The assistant coach comes up. So if they would have gone to like, oh, we're going to Charles Clark or Ogie Stojakovic is the head coach, you'd be like, wait, what? He wasn't the assistant.
Well, there have been a couple times where like that has happened.
Sometimes when the lead assistant is the coach's guy, like that was my...
Well, do you remember when Joe Mazzulla got the Celtics job? Mm-hmm. He was like the fourth assistant or something.
Right.
And it was like, oh, is this an agency type thing?
Right.
Like, who is pushing for Joe Mazzulla? It's not maybe necessarily the Celtics top decision maker. Maybe it's somebody coming through the side door and being like, you know who you should really do? That would be in the best interest of us and a lot of these other players, Joe Mazzulla.
Do you see what I'm saying about Tenzer though? Because it doesn't feel like that was the natural. We've been grooming this guy for this.
I mean, I don't even think if they know. I mean, we don't know if Tommy's even going to be a part of this front office right now. Let alone skipped. I mean, I don't know if he's even part of it at the. I mean, we'll find out. Is a better way to frame it.
It feels like Tenzer being the guy feels the most likely, but there will be so many questions around it. Like if they announce it tomorrow and it's like, yes, it's Ben Tenzer, that there'll be a lot of questions around that, man. There'll be a lot of. I'll tell you right now, my perspective on it, if that happens, would be great concern. Like that's not one I would be like, oh, I could see it. And I'm not saying I can be wrong on these things. It's not like I know better. But going into it, I would say I have way more questions than I have answers on this one.
Absolutely.
Number 2 conspiracy option. There's a big deal being brokered or possible, but it requires several moving parts. a la Jason Kidd, moves over here. Maybe Chris Finch is over here. Or maybe this GM is waiting for this job, but this one opens, or, different moving parts and moving pieces. This GM's available, but only if this coach is leaving or what have you. And so the Nuggets are on a hold pattern because they feel good about something that is not a certainty yet.
I know. What if the big summer of transactions was really just talking about GMs moving teams, not players?
That would, by the way, Windhorse would do that.
Yeah.
Way lamer, to be honest.
Right.
I'm already sick of the GM conversation.
If there was, like a big move like that coming, I just feel like we would have heard something about it. There would have been a leak somewhere. We would have some name. The Nuggets might be interested in this guy and that guy, because it's tough to keep that stuff in-house, especially if you're reaching out to other teams. Maybe the lack of one NBA newsbreaker is translating into there not being as much news. I don't know.
Man, I love this take.
But still, you would think there would be just at least some sense of a rumor or a rumbling or whatnot.
You're right. Woj was good for Shams. Shams was good for Woj because it became a competition.
Yeah.
Now that Shams has all this power, he can choose what gets out and what doesn't more carefully because he's not worried about getting scooped. And so it's almost like less stuff gets out.
But you would still think something would be out there, though.
I will tell you this, man, just from knowing newsbreakers and stuff over the time, this industry's dirty, man. Like, it's just tough. Like, and I mean this about the media side of news breaking, that there's so much more known than that gets out. And as power gets consolidated, less gets out for that very reason.
And NBA news breaking, it's kind of, it's a tit for tat industry. It's a quid pro quo type thing. There's stuff out there that tons of newsbreakers know that is purposely not put out.
It's one of the reasons like breaking news has never been a goal of mine, because the people that do that really are beholden. Like you see it, they are beholden to the people who are giving them information, and that's like
there's also a power consolidation within the Nuggets, meaning, as we kind of alluded to yesterday, the inner circle right now might be a person, an individual.
I think three. I think a holy trinity.
Being
Kroenke and their lead sort of advisor, Kevin Demoff.
Right. So there might not,
altitude president.
There's almost like, even as a newsbreaker, it's like, okay, well, who do I even reach out to unless you have the direct tap? So
so that's one, is that maybe there's this big domino that they're just waiting on to fall, and the whole league, because this happens a lot with like players, right? No trades have happened. What's going on? Well, everyone's waiting on this guy. Once that happens, every other deal shuffles into place. Could be a similar thing here. The other one is there's a big deal and they're just still brokering it. I mean, this would be if you're a Bob Myers believer.
Yeah.
He's right now he's occupied and it's actually all a done deal, but
he can't stop doing the 2-minute pregame show and halftime show on ESPN.
I mean, the truth is, if you get signed, all of a sudden it's tampering. It could be something of that where he's actually effectively. I mean, this one is possible. I don't think it's the case, but it is possible.
I'm not talking any teams until the finals gets over. That's what Bob Myers is saying.
yeah, right. And then he signs it'll be like Game 5, series wraps up. 30 minutes later
into a contract extension with ESPN.
I was thinking
he immediately the Nuggets against ESPN.
It's like Shams, like they're still doing the presentation ceremony, and Shams goes, "Bob Myers is the new general manager. Nuggets expected to move on from Jamal Murray." You're like, wait a second, hold on.
Yeah.
All of these things are already ready to go.
Yeah.
I am of the belief that it would be a disaster to just be trying to wait this out for some sort of optics play.
It's getting worse. The optics are getting worse and worse and worse the longer you wait.
Well, because stuff like this happens. Because stuff like this happens where now we have to go into, well, let's take guesses what's behind the curtain, right? Like
100%. That is part of it too. I mean, that's part of the, when we get, sometimes between the handful of us, we have an idea of what's happening. And when we do, we can talk about things in a much less speculative, reckless way. Not that the word being intentionally that, and I'm just saying in terms of if we're trying to control the narrative as an organization, if you let it go this long, radio silence this long, eventually it gets away from you.
Speaking of speculative and reckless, I have one last one that is both speculative and reckless.
Let's do it.
But interesting on the other side.
Oh, what a tease, dude. Is it about the Comanche?
Oh, dude, I had some people reach out about this. Shout out my guy Tron.
It was very interesting. It was a very interesting nugget.
Guys, check out Mando. It's a men's deodorant brand that is hyper-focused on keeping every aspect of a man's body smelling fresh and clean. Mando overtly calls out more colorful parts of men's bodies that smell. And they have scents that are geared towards men with options like bourbon leather, Clover Woods, Mount Fuji, Pro Sport. I have a deodorant stick of bourbon leather in my office right now.
Oh, that's nice.
Bourbon
dude.
leather.
Yeah.
Two great words.
How did someone figure out? Did someone spill bourbon on leather and think, not bad?
That's the Wild West right there. Bourbon and leather.
Bourbon and leather. They go together, man. Mando's great. Full body deodorant. Bourbon leather, Clover Woods, Mount Fuji, Pro Sport. Different scents to choose from. They have a starter pack right now that's perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, and free shipping. As a special offer for listeners, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates over 40% off your starter pack. Use the code DNVR at shopmando.com, shopmando.com. Support us. Tell them we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando.
There's a good chance that your mother or father fancies themselves a handyman or woman, and there's just a tiniest little issue up there on the roof, and they want to handle it. Don't let them. Go with the pros and make checking your roof part of your spring cleaning routine with them. Go with Red Hawk Roofing, where they can catch any issues or repairs before they get out of hand. There's no project too small for our guys at Red Hawk, and they want lifelong, lasting business relationships with you, the locals here of Denver and beyond in Colorado. So it could be a really small job. They could do a great job, and you trust them, and you want to go back to them. God forbid there's a bigger job to take care of. That's the relationship they want to build with you. That's the relationship they want to build with the city. They're doing it with quality materials, decades of experience, quick response time. Plus, they're huge DNVR fans, which is at least neat for me. I don't know if it's neat for you. Supporting your local teams means also supporting local businesses like Red Hawk Roofing. If you're looking for a new roof over your home or business, be sure to check out Red Hawk Roofing at redhawkroofing.com or call 720-771-8921. Tell them DNVR sent you.
All right, back here, segment 3. Make sure you hit that like button for us. So my last conspiracy theory here, which I think is at least interesting to think about, if not reckless in some way.
Oh, boy.
What if there is disagreement right now amongst the triumvirate that is currently makes up the power structure of KSE, and that really is more about a duo than the three?
You're talking about...
I'm right now talking about the governor and owner, Stan Kroenke.
Okay.
And the executive vice chairman, Josh Kroenke.
Yeah.
Are we so sure that maybe this is a situation where there's some conflict about what's supposed to happen? And the reason I bring this up, we've been making this joke about executive vice chairman and clarity because it was made clear somebody in the media had made a mistake about calling Josh Kroenke the owner, and it was corrected in a very weird way of correction of, hey, no, Stan Kroenke is the owner.
Yes.
Josh Kroenke is the executive vice chairman.
If you've been wondering why we keep making
this excessive clarification.
And if you're wondering which media member it was everyone.
Well,
it was one in particular, but yes, you're right that most people would refer to the Kroenkes as the ownership group, and really, honestly, that's been how they've been referred to.
Yeah.
So to be issued a correction of actually, no, Stan is the owner, not Josh.
Josh is the...
It could be a million
Vice
different
chairman.
reasons.
Vice chairman.
One is just for clarity's sake, because it is true. That is correct. And so for the sake of accuracy. But it did just make me wonder. I'm curious if this is a situation, very pivotal moment in the Jokic arc, if maybe there's not a consensus in the small group, the small council that makes these decisions, if maybe this has been a little cumbersome because it's like, hey, we got to get this right, and we don't see this the same way.
One thing I would wager, if I were a betting man, and you can't bet on this, which is for the best.
I'll bet you could somewhere.
Probably somewhere. Josh right now is, I think, very optics and image conscious for both the organization and himself. I think you can hear it in his answers right now. I think he is tracking the response to various press conferences and decisions. I would bet Stan is less interested in the optics of it.
For sure. I think
is this a fair
that's
bet?
the sense I get from him. Yeah,
bet.
I don't know if he cares.
He may just not care, whereas I think Josh cares. So if that's the kernel of the thought that you are putting out there, I can see it.
And I'll tell you another thing that just made me think about this, because like all you can do is sit in the dark. You talk to people, but like I said, I think a lot of people are in the dark on this one. And Josh, I thought, was very interesting in his first press conference right after the firings. Humble, very open, what have you. I thought he got more intense as they went on. And then by the last one, it was almost like he was in a bad mood. I think a lot of this is posturing. Guys are trying to posture and present as serious and this or that. Wore a suit instead of something casual. But I also wonder, like, that is a mix.
Wind's nodding.
What's that? Yeah, well, but it is like a signal. You know what I mean? Like, you're sending signals through all these things, and that signal was like, it was almost like, oh, I showed up casual and relatable, and now I have to be power and,
right,
and
now I'm deep in the search.
And it just is another thing. I kind of sat and wondered, was that intentional? Should I read into it? But it could lend itself even to this here. Just is there consensus amongst the family?
Yeah, I don't know. I would think, based on what's been said by Josh, that he likes Ben Tenzer a lot.
I would agree.
He's kind of gone to bat with it for him in both these pressers he's had, where he's shouted out really unprovoked how good of a job he's done.
Agree it again.
And how he's gotten everybody organized and on the same page.
Feels like he's throwing his weight behind Tenzer.
That's what it seemed like when those press conferences happened.
Right.
So, I mean, just based off that, I feel like Josh is in Ben Tenzer's corner. I don't know what that means for the rest of the decision-making table.
Right.
But that's the impression that I've always gotten.
Again, this one is fourth on the list because I don't think it's true, but we're in such a weird moment right now where the Nuggets are waiting on this GM announcement, and it seems like things are happening. And speaking of things happening, let me give you a recap of just this week. The Suns and Kevin Durant's team have begun conversations about where he wants to play next. Interested teams include.
For the first time ever, they have come together and talked about where he might want to play.
It's still his choice.
It's still his choice, ultimately.
He's a free agent. He can go anywhere he wants.
Yeah, he's not, but yes, it is similar to that in some ways. The Knicks and the Heat, send him out east. Wouldn't mind that at all.
Okay.
The Timberwolves, the Spurs, and the Rockets.
Okay.
So 3 Western teams here. Now, here's what I think about when I see this. Knicks and Heat, okay, makes sense. They probably, Karl Anthony Towns, there's a big player there. Heat, bunch of role players. So what are you giving up? Wolves, probably bunch of role players. Spurs, role players. Rockets, role players. Those are teams that have good role players to kind of enter into the market, and they're all being discussed, and this is just one deal. Wind, I think this might be an offseason of a lot of role player turnover, like high-level role player turnover.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it seems like. That's what everybody's saying. I think this Kevin Durant trade market is getting a little more hyped up than what it is in reality, though.
Why?
Because I'm guessing, but I don't think all these teams are actually as interested in him as Kevin Durant's camp is making it out to be.
Could be.
I think they're overplaying
natural.
it a little bit, which is what players in their circles do in this case. I don't think there are like 6 or 7 teams that are calling Rich Kleiman up every hour of every day and saying, we want Kevin Durant, we want Kevin. I think it's a little more low-key than that. But yeah, it does seem like there's going to be a lot of movement, this summer. It seems like a lot of teams are going to be trying to save money too. And I don't really know how those two things mesh together. Maybe there could be a star for, a couple role players types of deals to save some money, getting under the second apron, and staying under it. Seems like it's going to be a priority for a lot of teams. And if you're the Nuggets, man, it'd be great to maybe get in on one of these deals and get a PJ Washington type of guy.
Right.
Get in on these deals to, get a role contributing player, somebody that can be a real guy for you.
The Pelicans said everybody is
Right.
available.
One of
and
those
the
types of
Pelicans
guys.
have a bunch of players who, again, are not stars. You're not leading the summer. Who got traded? What was the big deal? Oh, Trey Murphy, Herb Jones. No, but they are so many players there that you're like, well, that guy would help if he was available. And so now we're talking, let's throw them in the mix. Sacramento Kings eyeing big moves. Their team has not been good. I don't like their star per se, but they do have a lot of guys that are interesting that can help a team. Dallas Mavericks now? Chris Mannix went on Kevin O'Connor's show yesterday, very close to Cooper Flagg, well, yes.
Oh.
But also to Cooper Flagg's camp, he's been doing, he's got a big thing going on there, so he's kind of plugged in. And he said, hey, it kind of looks like the Mavs might be considering blowing it up. Okay, so is Anthony Davis, PJ Washington, Daniel Gaffer, are all these guys available?
I'd take Dante Exum at this point.
So all of a sudden I'm looking at this and going, there's a lot of tier 2 stars and tier 1 role players that might all of a sudden be available, like really available this summer.
And I honestly think there are teams that are still playing right now, the Pacers in particular, that as soon as this summer might be active as well. So yes, I don't mean to belabor the joke. I think it'd be a great time to have your decision maker installed right now.
And not only a good time, it actually might be a thing that right now feels kind of funny and ironic or this or that, but it might actually be damning. Yeah. Why didn't the Nuggets Trey Murphy gets traded for something way less?
Right.
And you're like, why did that? It happens every year, right? There's some player and you're like, that's all it took?
The deals are getting negotiated right now.
Yeah.
This is the time of year when it's most important to have a GM doing GMing things. Like, trades are getting negotiated right now. We're going to hear about them at the draft.
Right.
But they're getting negotiated right now. This is the most important time of the whole season for a GM, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
Like, this is when the calls get made, even though it's technically, you're not allowed to or whatever, but I don't even know. This is when deals get done. This is when negotiations happen. And then they get leaked for real at the draft. And then obviously they get fully completed and official in July. But this is when everything happens right now.
Another one that the Celtics, are in this weird year. They want to save money. Also, they're not going to really be contenders without Tatum next year. New ownership group. So they're a team. And by the way, another one of these sites that shall not be named. You pointed this out today.
Oh, yeah.
Another one of these sites has a weird one for Denver fans. Drew Holiday's most likely stop next season, most likely, according to this one unnamed engagement farming sportsbook offshore, is the Denver Nuggets. And
I don't know how, but it's the Nuggets.
I mean, it's first of all, it is possible depending on what it is that the Celtics are trying to acquire, right? Like what it is they're trying to get. You can make these deals work. Maybe it is a Jamal Murray.
Right.
You're talking about a big swing like that, but maybe it is some other collection of assets. It's a Michael Porter. Well, why do they want him? They don't, but he'll be tradable the year after that, and they just want to get an asset or a pick or something. So even the Celtics, Drew Holiday and their role players, maybe Jaylen Brown, there's guys that can be. You look at it and go, those are big. Drew Holiday's the type of player we're talking about, tier 1 role player.
A lot of guys I'd be huge fans of on any other team for sure. A lot of guys who can really help teams win, and guys I would easily appreciate, especially if they were Denver Nuggets. Yes, it feels like change is afoot. It also feels like maybe musical chairs is going to be part of the deal here in the NBA for a bit. It's just going to be so hard to keep a roster together, let alone getting your cap sheet right, but just. And Denver's seen a lot of, I think, some of this. How lined up are everyone's priorities, and how willing is a player to buy into the plan, et cetera, et cetera. How much money versus role do they want? And so, I think you're going to reach a point where you might, maybe it's less and less about these big 3 trades we got so used to 10 years ago, and more about the treasure trove of guys, of helpful guys that are available from summer to summer.
And I know some people have pointed this out in the Nuggets universe. Jake Coyne and I think Grace, Aaron Burr, have pointed out that maybe the new market, in fact, it certainly seems like this, long contracts, unless it's your main guys, like Yoke's going to get a long contract, but everybody else should be on short deals because you need to maintain this flexibility. And with this new CBA, there's just going to be a lot of teams that are constantly adjusting their plan because it's like, oh, we're not where we thought, so we got to get off this money, off these players and get picks. And if you have these long-term contracts, nobody wants them. And that's why I just look at it and I go, I think this summer's going to be actually more trades than average. Maybe fewer because we've had some summers where Paul George and Kawhi and Hart and all these guys got traded and they're big names. But I think it'll be a big trade season for the Trey Murphys of the year, the Drew Holidays, and the Lonzo Balls, all these guys that you look at and go, yeah, those are winning pieces and they're getting dealt around.
This is kind of Adam Silver's wet dream, to be honest. Parity in the
First
finals.
of all,
he's like, final stuff,
gross.
ratings are down. Who cares? Check in with me first week of July. Ratings are going to be through the roof.
Like, we have a league of parity, new teams in the finals every year, and our off seasons are bigger than ever. Like, this is exactly what he wants.
Ugh, you're so right, but I hated that sentence so much.
It is going to be like finals ratings were down, but the week after the finals ratings were through the roof.
Look at our engagement numbers on X.com.
On X.com. Brooklyn Nets, slew of really good role players. Same thing. They are long been rumored, but now it's like picking up that, yes, these guys are available. And then the Orlando Magic. I missed this because it happened apparently like 3 weeks ago, and I just didn't catch it. Jeff Weltman, who you guys all know is the president of basketball operations for the Orlando Magic.
Of course,
I don't have to tell you guys
Jeff
that. You guys know
course.
Weltman.
Yeah.
We're ready to kind of turn the page on our rebuild and enter the next stage of our team and look at it through a more win now lens. That's a guy saying we're done with this phase. We're done with phase one. It's time for phase two. So no, we're not going to be sentimental about writing this back. We are ready to push our chips in. They have some of my favorite role players in the NBA. That's half the NBA I just listed who's like, yes, our tier one role players are up for grabs.
Right.
Everyone's going to be mismatching this. And I hope the Nuggets, as I was just thinking about this, the Suns missed the playoffs this year. The Mavs missed the playoffs this year. The Pelicans missed the playoffs this year. The Kings missed the they missed the playoffs this year.
Play in, right?
Play in, and they can get out. So those are 4 non-playoff teams that might be giving everyone else their role players as a reset. Right. I'm like, that means there's going to be some super teams that emerge from this. Some team is going to end up with a role play, like Golden State ends up with Trey Murphy somehow, and you're like, wait, they just added to their already good team?
Yeah.
That's my concern as I'm reading the landscape. I go, some team is going to win this offseason with the Caruso deal.
Oh, it'd be so cool if it was the Nuggets.
And the Nuggets are going to zag against all of that and develop internally.
I hope not, man. I hope that the Nuggets are, because here's one thing about a plan. I know you like kind of set out, we don't want to panic, we want to do this. That's great to say. We're not just going to chase for the sake of chasing. But there's also just sometimes when the iron is hot. You didn't expect it to be.
Right.
But
you got to be ready for that moment if it comes.
Oh, Drew Holiday is that cheap because the Celtics have to get rid of him and they were late and some other team.
Once a year, there's a deal.
There's a deal out there where it's like, oh, that guy's still on, Trey Murphy's still on the market.
You go back to the Aaron Gordon trade when the Nuggets pulled that off. It came to a point where there was like nobody interested except the Nuggets and like Portland for some reason. Yeah. Maybe Boston.
Right.
They're just, Aaron Gordon was the best player out there at that deadline and nobody was really that into him.
Right.
And the Nuggets were sitting there like, yeah, we're going to go get him. We can beat out all these offers. Let's just do it.
You said RJ Hampton?
Right. Yeah. I think everybody thought there were going to be more competitive offers and the market just dried up. Like the Nuggets are sitting there and just could do it.
The Nuggets have, I'm sure, not been sitting there wondering if they should add Anthony Davis. Like that hasn't crossed their mind. But if he's all of a sudden available in a market that's like not shaping up to be as competitive as you thought, maybe your plan is, hey, that does make sense though. Let's go get him.
Yeah,
move AG to the 3, and now we have 100%. This awesome defensive front court. And that's not the plan we had, but the price was right.
Cody pointing out KCP in terms of the trade, and then Bruce Brown, which was a signing, but that's the general point, right? That sometimes you can be the right team in the right place, but that you have to put yourself in the right places, and sitting on your hands right now would be suboptimal for sure.
One of these teams that's planning on making a shakeup because they can't stand to stomach, and there's a lot of these, the Pelicans, the Kings, the Suns. There's a lot of teams that have just gone through too many years of frustration that they're ready to get reckless. And if the market puts them in a corner, you have to be ready to adjust your vision to take advantage of that.
Right.
All right, there's a wounded dog over here. Still their bone.
Or just some of these guys, man, like, you don't know. They came back from a yacht party. They're feeling good. Like, give it a shot. Like, Matt Ishbia is feeling itchy.
There's a couple bad GMs out there right
You know what I mean?
A couple bad ones.
You never know.
Sadly, I worry every other organization is right now looking at the Nuggets are vulnerable.
There's no GM are we in, like, the Kings category right now?
And Josh is on the yacht.
Like, Christian Brown might be available for nothing. Let's just go get him.
Is it the Kings, the Pelicans, and the Nuggets?
No. Shut your dirty mouth. By the way, the Utah Jazz also like making a bunch of players available, which is
does anybody really want
Danny Ainge over here, wheeling and dealing.
They have a new GM.
I'd be interested to find out if Markkanen is or isn't. Like, if he, you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
There are players like him that just end up spending 9 years on terrible teams. Where like, I don't think it's his fault.
I don't know.
I wanted to end the show with a little optimism, guys, because it is hump day over here. You guys know we love our Wednesdays. What is the most exciting thing about the Nuggets right now? Because there is a lot of doom and gloom, especially from over here. Just throwing the Nuggets in the Kings category.
I've been dooming with D-Line in our group Slack for the last day.
D-Line is going to come back from Serbia very
Me and
strong.
him just zooming back and forth the last.
He's going to be the most
24 hours.
optimistic man on earth. I can't wait for it. But there is optimistic stuff, and we have to learn to appreciate them, and they're going to take a breather every now and then. So I'm going to ask you, Brendan Vogt,
Yeah, what's up?
chief optimist, the most optimistic or most exciting thing about the Nuggets right now. No caveats, just, hey, this is exciting. It's an easy one.
They
This
have the
first
best
one.
player in the world in his prime.
Nikola Jokic. This
I
is
can
my
take that.
point.
I can
Yeah,
take
you can
that.
take
Yeah.
it.
Okay, cool. It's
This
that
was
one.
my number one
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
I was just like, Jokic.
Yeah, I'm gonna put that one up one if that's cool.
He's still here, and he's still like, you're still a contender with him.
Yes,
The three of us, producer Kale and Jokic, I'm like, you know what? There's a
could get it
path.
done.
There's a path.
If you can't boast best depth in the league, it is very nice to at least boast best player in the league.
And I love what I see here from Tom Gu. He says Jokic improving, which is, until it doesn't happen, is still
Right.
the trajectory we're on.
You have to assume it will happen.
Just had his best season ever. Every season has been better than the one before it. Is this the year that breaks? I don't know. But there is a chance that next year we're like, damn, he's even better.
Right. You want another optimistic?
I kind of wanted to talk about Jokic
Reason?
for a bit, but I
Oh.
guess we can move on.
We can talk about Jokic.
We can move on.
Yeah.
I mean,
We could just do
Always
this for the
down
whole
to talk
show.
about Yoke.
Yeah.
it's almost we could. It's just everyone's nodding their head, going, "Yes, correct."
Yeah. And honestly, it's enough.
Yes,
like, I know
correct.
we want more, but
Yeah.
it's like enough for me to be like, I'll buy the ticket. I'm going back to the show.
every time, brother. Every time.
All right. What do we got?
Bruce Brown deal's done. Just kidding. Just kidding.
We're all going to be so let down when Bruce Brown is not signed.
The starting five.
Ooh, I like that.
Worst case scenario, they bring the same starting five back. That's still a starting five that can probably win you a championship.
One of the best in the entire NBA, if not the best.
So that's pretty positive, I'd say.
That is pretty positive. I do like the starting five angle. I'm going to tell you this one. The new coach could be meaningfully different. And I don't know this. Every time you talk about this, it feels like you're just throwing Malone under a bus. I don't know if it's that. But there is a chance that coaching was, in some form or fashion, an obstacle at the end, or at least for this or that. And that next year there's new ideas, new life, new energy from the coaching that you're like, oh, wow, the team's different. They're more fun. They're better. They're winning easier. And it's like, that's exciting. It could, now the opposite could be true. He could be worse.
Very true.
So this is a double-edged thing. But it's exciting to me to be like, you know what? We've only ever seen this team with one coach. And now for the first time, we're going to see it with another one.
And it is true that David Adelman ran the offense under Malone, but I don't know if that's the same thing as having complete and total control over the offense. I would imagine he's still got some input from Michael Malone as far as some of the principles. And is he willing to be more innovative with some level of job security, the head chair? But also, I think one of the worst parts about last year was at the nadir, it didn't felt like anyone wanted to do it anymore. And I think that there's a chance now under David Adelman that they still want to do this. And that excites me on some level.
Yeah, somebody in the chat just says, have they hired any assistants? Not yet. No, but that's also exciting. Like, I'm kind of excited to hear who it's going to be.
Absolutely.
Just some new faces in. Here's another one for you guys. Aaron Gordon's growing fit next to Jokic. Another thing, Jokic gets better every year. Aaron Gordon gets better at his chemistry with Jokic every year. And I think that's one that will actually continue.
Yeah. And also, he had such a rough regular season with the injuries.
Yeah.
I'm excited to, just see what his next season looks like. And, him coming back with a real 3-point shot now is really exciting as well.
And maybe two calves.
Maybe two calves, hopefully.
that
Two
would be-
working legs.
And a hamstring. Another one here. This one is, we've talked about it in the negative, but I'm going to form it in the positive here. Jamal Murray's in a new spot than he's been in at any point in his career. Jamal Murray was a young guy, had to prove it, had to earn it. Then he was the guy. Then he was injured. Then he was a champion. And over these last couple years, he's been the disappointment. And this year, this playoffs, I feel like it's finally, he's now in the spot where he has to prove it again. I don't think he had to prove it last year. There was a little bit of like when the playoffs come this or that. But this year, I think he has pressure to prove it. And I'm kind of excited for him to be in that spot. Nervous, but excited.
I want a good talking point, and I really want to agree. I'm not that excited about it. But you're right.
But it could be dope if it's like, hey, he had a prove it year.
Dope.
It'd be really great. It'd be really, really great.
Yeah.
I think
if he was in a contract year or something.
He's got a weird, it's like,
Sorry.
No, that was good. I thought it was
I'm
good.
in a dooming mood.
all right, let me try to know an easier one. Christian Brown's development.
Yeah.
If you would have asked me last year, what's Christian Brown's ceiling, I would have said it's whatever he did this year.
Right.
But now that he did this already in year 3, part of me goes like Christian Brown is uncharted territory.
For sure. I mean, he has exceeded our wildest expectations offensively for where he's at right now at this point in his career. The jump he made from last year to this past season, he blew my expectations out of the water. And like now it's just about what he can add to his game next year. I mean, can his 3-point shot get more consistent? It needs to be. Can he develop more stuff off the dribble? He really needs to. Can he, take a step up defensively? That might be, the biggest thing. Like, can he just really become that lockdown guy? Maybe.
I think it's his handle and the ability to play pick and roll. Yeah. Maybe a little bit his jump. I mean, I just never thought Christian Brown would be dynamic at all. I still don't think he's going to be like a superstar type player. But he did show enough scoring and different finishing at the rim this year that I'm like, I don't know, maybe he can develop a bit more of a handle. And as a guy, you can do stuff. I'm excited to see that happen. And then the last one, I know more people are negative about this one for sure, but Peyton Watson, Julian Strawther, De'Ron Holmes, Jalen Pickett, these guys to me still hold intrigue. Whether you're more pessimistic than optimistic about which direction that's going to go, I understand, fully understand it.
Right.
But there is at least this thing of if the Nuggets had won a title this year, we'd be talking about we get to see what P-Watt can do next. Like, what's he going to be though? What's he going to? Julian Strawther, they won a title. Now you get Julian Strawther. Those guys are still a mystery box in a way that I know is scary. But the flip side of it is intriguing.
I think it's intriguing. That's the thing about internal improvement is it's not sexy. It's not what the fans want to hear right now. It is possible. It is possible, right? That for everything this team hasn't done in their development, that 2 young players can come back as meaningful, better players. That is not off the table. And if they do, I think that'd be really, really exciting because I think it opens up the door to Denver being a conference finals team again. But it is. I just wish I was coming out of last season with more to grab onto there, more to sink my teeth into and say, yes, I'm very, very excited about this.
I will tell you one thing I'm disappointed in. Today is Peyton Watson Day from the Nuggets social account. Everybody's in the replies just shitting on him.
Yeah, that's rough.
You seen it? He sees that. You know what I mean? This is like people don't like him or mad about the plan or this or that, but it's like it's weird that he becomes the guy that everyone kind of hates now.
I think
he doesn't bode well.
He's probably most closely tied with Calvin.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
And he represents
I mean, that's
something.
the comment. Booth killed us with this pick.
He represents something, too, because he was the closest to the young guys ready to play, and he did play in the playoffs. So he's on a way, he's almost the face of that.
And he was the furthest away.
Yeah.
So anyway, those are some reasons for optimism. Holmes, like you're just kind of excited. We get to see him play here in probably like a month, which is kind of exciting.
Honestly, I really don't have a lot of expectations for him helping that much next season. But if he does prove at Summer League that he could be a guy, like that'd be the first step to him potentially playing a role next year. If he just looks great at Summer League,
it would go a long way. Bigs don't always look good, but we'll see what happens. All right, we have any super chats, Kale?
GGX Gang HQ. This is my grandma, by the way. MPJ, Zeke, and Dario for Patrick Williams, Kevin Herter, and Ao Dosunmu.
I'll tell you this right now. Nuggets fans don't know player hate. If you guys hate P-Watt, wait till you get your hands on Patrick Williams.
Oh,
man.
yeah. He's
like, I was going to say something, but I won't.
I want to hear it.
No, I can't.
He really is a rough, frustrating player, man.
I was going to say something really mean.
He's pretty athletic. Kevin Herter, why do people like the Dosunmu so much? I mean, good guard a little bit. I think he would be a little frustrating too. I like him. I don't. Lonzo Ball is right there, guys. Take Lonzo.
Well, one guy plays, but I do know what you mean.
One guy does play.
ASMR, new account, but Jordan McRae wasn't a culture fit. I can't remember your original quote account, but I do remember the bit without a doubt.
Was it like a Jordan McRae account?
Yeah, it was. This was every show.
We got to get a hold of Jordan McRae one time and just show him all these super chats. He's like, what? We don't really have
Hey, Jordan, what really happened? See if people are into that. Maddox, new GM camping out in NOLA to get Murphy and Herb.
They pull both of them off, man. Nuggets, all right. Dynasty's back on the menu. Two of my favorite players. That does it for today. Everybody, thanks for hanging out. We'll be back again tomorrow with the Thursday show. Hit the like button on the way out.
We all silly like the mayor.